look myself in the mirror and accept that if you weren't a racist, you condone what a racist did. So that's, to me, the same thing. It's the same thing. So
I agree with you completely.
Sounds to really make you rub and scrub. Swing badang badang bong biddly biddly bong. Bong biddly 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 bong. I said, pass the dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun.
Anthony, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
I appreciate it.
You got a big show. You got a big following. So God bless you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Both of you, welcome to the show. I greatly appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, and good morning.
The floor is yours.
Whatever it is, it'll keep till the morning. Haven't we both got better things to do? Midnight blue.
I'm on your side, I still care. I may have died, but I've gone nowhere. Just think of me, I'll be there. Just think of me, I'll be there. There you go. Bit rusty.
Oh. You know what? I gotta tell you, usually I make my guests get a little emotional if I find something that touches them. You got me this time. So viewers, you're always telling me you got this one emotional. That got me emotional. I had to wipe my eyes.
No.
Since you told me you've seen some of the shows already, welcome, Johnny, of course. You know the running joke on my show is, because you're 6 hours ahead of me.
Oh, yeah.
I need the lottery numbers. But,
What do you mean? These ones?
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
I'm one step ahead of you, man.
Hey, folks, I'm the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it. Bad Brad Berkwitt, and you're watching another episode of the Bad Brad Berkwitt Show on the Ringside Report web TV channel. Now, make sure you hit that button, whatever corner it's in, and subscribe, or hit it on your cell phone. I greatly appreciate all my new subscribers, and we're getting close to our first goal of 3,000 subscribers. So come on, keep subscribing. I'm going to be putting out some great content. So the more subscribers, the more eyes, the more people get to see this stuff. And I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. As well, leave your comments below the video. I always personally respond. Now, follow me on Twitter at BadBradRSR. Again, it's at BadBradRSR. And make sure you check out my great writing team at ringsidereport.com. Again, that's ringsidereport.com. This is our 17th year, and we're better than ever, folks. Now, today, I'm bringing you a gentleman who is 1/3 of the MeidasTouch podcast. Very popular show. I had his brother Ben on earlier this year. I fully endorse their show. They are doing what I always talk about, moving humanity forward. But did you know that he also, this gentleman, is the marketing account supervisor based in New York City? He's been responsible for running campaigns and activations for some of the world's top brands, including HBO, the NFL, and AT&T. Did you know that? Well, with that said, without further ado, please welcome to my show, the one, the only, Jordy Meiselas. All right, in the building with the MeidasTouch behind him.
Let's go.
There you go.
Let's go.
My man, Jordy. What's up, brother?
Thank you so much for having me, Brad. Really appreciate it. Love all the work that you do, and just, man, I'm pumped to be here. No brother, so it's all me right now. This
Exactly.
is nice.
It's all you. It's a 360, all about you, my man.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, but I want to get out there, ladies. I said maybe or maybe not, so don't hold me to it. If you look at my last tweet, I said he may be in the Adam and Eve robe, but he may pull it from the side.
No Adam and Eve robe today. We're gonna have to save that for some special occasions.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, since this is our first interview, and you'll be back again, I have you on other times as well. But like I said, it's a 360. So I always start out with talking a little bit about COVID. I know we're moving ahead in a lot of areas and falling back in others, but personally, I always like to talk to my guests. How did COVID affect you? How are you dealing with things now? I know you're in Pittsburgh area. I don't know how long you've been there, but if you were in New York before that, talk about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, COVID, I feel like everyone has, a story, a family member who's, gotten really sick or unfortunately has passed away from this thing. It's been a nightmare, but to take a step back even further, I mean, to really start out from the beginning of COVID, if you want to call it the beginning, I like to reference, there was a March 11 date when the NBA shut down, when the two refs, for example, ran out onto the court, not during the Mavs game. It was the Nuggets game, I want to say. I forget now. And they ran out, arms in the air, calling off the game because one of the players, Rudy Gobert at the time, had tested positive, for COVID. Just watching that on TV, witnessing that live was jarring. And I'm like, okay, wow, this thing is here. And it's about to tremendously change the world as we know it. So then you go into that March 16th date, when I think really all the shutdowns started to begin, at least in New York City where I was living at the time. And it was a nightmare. I remember going to the grocery store that first day, like as the shutdowns were kind of happening, and it was pure chaos. It was almost like you would witness like a zombie apocalypse movie. Right? People just madness, you had some people in masks, but for the most part, I don't think the science was out there yet that the masks, help, prevent the spread of the disease. So a lot of people were just kind of walking with like gloves. No one really knew at the time. It was scary. It was just weird. I have this story where I went to go check out and I didn't have that many items on me at the time. And the cashier was like, "That's all you're getting?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'll be good with this." And he's like, "Just go." I'm like, I haven't paid yet. What are you talking about? He's like, "It's the end of the, can I curse on here?"
Yeah.
He said, "It's the end of the fucking world. Just walk out."
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay, man. Thanks for the groceries." And so it was really scary right around that time. And then frankly, like I was living in the city in my little, 350 square foot apartment because that's what city apartment living's all about. And now I'm used to at least going to work, stretching my legs a little bit, getting out of the apartment a bit, giving my girl some personal space, all of that fun stuff, that couples do. And now we just find ourselves sort of just staring at each other like, oh my God, this thing is here. And we're really going to have to figure this out. And what compounded everything was all of a sudden you had Trump going on, doing these daily pressers that would be, published worldwide for the world to see, just totally discounting what all the scientists were saying, what all the science was pointing to, and trying to discredit just how dangerous and really scary of a time we were about to embark in. And quite frankly, it's what eventually would lead to MeidasTouch, which is the organization that my brothers and I run. And really how that was founded was we were all just in our, separate bunkers, basically, just like sheltering in place, trying not to go out too much. And every day we saw Trump go on TV and say, "Inject bleach in you," or "Do this, do something else crazy." And it's like, man, this guy's going to get us all killed.
Yeah.
And you really have to take a step away from it too for a quick second, because when you're sort of in that mindset of like, oh my God, I'm consuming news 24/7. You actually forgot how you got there or how you were missing out on this in the first place. I think a lot of people, it was easy to miss out on the science of what was happening because everyday life gets in the way. You're going to work, you're taking your kids to school, you're cooking for your family. You have a lot of responsibilities outside of that. And so my focus certainly wasn't, necessarily on how is this affecting the world until it became a focal point of my life where, oh my God, now I understand, how naive could I have been trying to ignore this? And meanwhile, we have a maniac in the White House who might get my entire family killed on a very selfish and personal level. And so that was really how MeidasTouch had started, was we wanted to just combat this misinformation that was coming from the White House and really just arm people with facts. And so we founded it by just pulling our schools to get skill sets together. I'm a marketer. Brett's a great, 2-time Emmy Award winning editor, and Ben's obviously a fantastic legal mind. And so we told ourselves, hey, if we want to start something, maybe we start a blog, we'll write about how, the science is affecting these different areas of life, try and get, some followers to an account and try and build it up a little bit in a way that helps educate, just the general public to things that they might not be aware of. And then sure enough, one day Brett came to the table with a video, and the video juxtaposed the very famous Ronald Reagan debate speech, the "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is there more or less unemployment?" And we put that out on the Twitterverse, and the video got like 1 million views overnight. And we're like, hey, that was super impactful, Brett, you incredible editor and filmmaker. I think we need to start to focus, our sort of organization here and try and find ways to take the words and the wind, for example, out of all of these lies immediately. Is there a way that we could do that quickly and effective and efficiently in order to make sure that these lies stop spreading? Because what's that famous quote? Like a lie, travels around the world 1,000 times or whatever before the truth is told or the truth is learned. I'm sure I just butchered that quote.
That's okay.
And so
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And so that's eventually what we ended up finding our niche to do, is creating these really hard, impactful videos and expanding outward. So, and it was all really built out of fear that the maniac in the White House might kill our families. And it's terrifying. And so that was really just the gestation of when COVID had first started and how we then founded, sort of MeidasTouch in the early workings.
Cool. And that was good because we're going to go into talking about the MeidasTouch, but that was good because I want the viewers to see that out of a negative came a positive, because that's the same thing with me doing Zoom interviews. I was doing them at home, and once COVID hit, I was like, oh no, we can't do them in the house no more. This is my thing. So, Mary L. Trump was the one that said, hey, do them on Zoom. That's the way you should do it, Brad. And then it took off from there. So out of a negative came positive. So let me ask you this. Fully vaxxed, did you get your booster yet? Or
absolutely. Boosted up, double vax, boosted. Look, I just trust what the science says. What these people have dedicated their entire lives to do. I'm not going to pretend I'm smarter than them. I'm not going to pretend that any Facebook desk research, makes me think that I solved the COVID problem. No, there are people who have dedicated entire lives, 40 plus years, in a world where they're just trying to help the regular person survive. I'm going to listen to what they say. And they say to get the boosters and get the vax. I'm all for it.
Exactly. And I think you're alluding to probably Dr. Fauci, because with all the years, and it's pathetic, a talking point off of yours, is that Republican, and I try to be down the middle, try to be fair. You guys do the same thing on your show. If it's bullshit, it's bullshit. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's bullshit. You've never seen in my lifetime, and I'm 53, Dr. Fauci under another Republican president, whether it was Reagan, whether it was Papa Bush or the Junior, get attacked and need to have security till this fucking Trump. I mean, Dr. Fauci, really, who's apolitical. You don't even know what party he belongs to unless you really research him and find out. He's apolitical, but he's got to have security because of fucking Trump. Or you remember when Trump said, you're becoming a bigger star than me, that you're more famous? I mean, really, the pettiness, you know what I mean?
That's what it is at the end of the day. There's no reason why the average American, the average person should know Dr. Fauci's name, let alone have him be a household name. Look, he's director of the CDC, and all of a sudden we all know his name. When's the last time that actually happened? It's ridiculous. And you take a step back and you just sort of have to laugh a little bit about how absurd of a time we're really living in.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's start from the beginning. You grew up on Long Island, correct?
Yes, sir. And I like the way you said that, on Long Island.
Exactly. Talk about whereabouts on Long Island, because there's a lot of different little places on Long Island, which I happen to love. And talk about that and where exactly, and growing up on Long Island.
Yeah, growing up on Long Island was a trip, man. We were we like to say, like in the middle of Long Island. So we were about 25, 35 minutes out of the city. And this Nassau County is the county, and it was a little town called Plainview that we love. And it was really an interesting, time growing up there, because the politics of the world didn't at the time really seem like they were so immersive that they are now. Meaning I didn't know growing up, what political beliefs my friends held. And frankly, I didn't really care. I just cared about, playing ball in the park with them, and, whatever happened, happens. And then sort of, there's definitely been a bit of an evolution to that as you sort of grow up and as the times have changed, especially as Trump has taken office or took office, where you really started to see like a little bit of, what's the word for this? Division, like within the community, very specifically around, you know, the political landscape. But growing up there, man, at the time where I grew up, early 2000s, mid 2000s, I loved it. There was no better place, you know, to grow up. Had just wonderful family. Love my mom, love my dad, love my stepmom, love everybody who, you know, helped raise me, and couldn't be more thankful or grateful for the way we grew up.
Okay. Now, I know you attended Ohio State, right?
Oh, that's going to be the Ohio State, Brad.
Okay, the Ohio State. There you go.
Yes, sir. I'll get in trouble. I'll have some friends reach out to me from school being like, you didn't do the V. You didn't do the V.
I love it. Talk about that time. Talk about school and talk about what you got your degree in.
Yeah, so that was a trip, man. So like I said, I grew up on Long Island, grew up in a town called Plainview, and I loved it. And I love New York, but it became very New York, if that makes sense. And I wanted to figure out a way to not be so immersed in sort of New York culture. And so I'm like, hey, I think Ohio is kind of the opposite of New York from what I've read and the research that I've done. And I'm trying to really like understand the world. And so I went to Ohio, the Ohio State University, moved there, had a 4-year college experience there. It was really amazing. Majored in strategic communications with a minor in marketing and advertising. And that right there was sort of the mindset that I took. I always knew I wanted to do something in the world of marketing and advertising and sort of using my creative juices and skill sets to do something fun and creative. I just didn't really know how I was going to apply that. And so I would, you know, think that they had a great program over there at the school that I really wanted to be a part of. And fortunately, I had some really great teachers along the way who helped sort of educate me and guide me and really teach me some, you know, foundational principles that I still take with me to this day.
Okay. Your dad's name is Kenny, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know Kenny I know your father was a very successful lawyer. And of course, Ben went into being a lawyer. And we talked about your dad when I had him on the show.
Nice.
So out of curiosity, was there anybody growing up or around you in the family that did marketing and you were like, hey, that's what I want to do? Or did you pick that up when you went into college?
I think it was the fact that both my parents had went to law school and became lawyers, certified board lawyers. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do. And then I saw Ben like studying for the bar and going to law school, because Ben's a little bit older than me. For those who don't know, he's about 8 years older than me. And I'm like, oh my God, this sounds and looks just awful. How do I make sure I don't do that? And it's sort of just kind of, it wasn't really an influence that my parents really had on me so much as what I experienced of, hey, that's really awesome that they love that, but I don't think that's for me. And so that's kind of what helped guide me into, you know, a little bit more of a creative field. Okay.
And another question I want to ask you, growing up in New York, on Long Island, as we said.
There you go.
You and your brothers are very open and use your platform about civil rights issues, social issues. As a kid growing up Jewish, did you see or experience anything in your childhood that, if you maybe looking back now, maybe you didn't realize how bad it was then, but was there anything major that you saw that really opened your eyes that, wow, this is fucked up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could take it to, you know, personal levels like that. Growing up on Long Island, you know, it's a very diverse area. People may not think that automatically, but, you know, you really get into the heart of Long Island, and yeah, no, there's definitely a diverse, you know, set of minds and beliefs there. And look, you hang out with a certain crowd, right? So I was probably what people would consider more of like a jock crowd. So I played sports all the time, and, you know, the jock crowd, it could be a little bit douchey, for, you know what I mean? And so you're hanging with, you know, other guys who are quote unquote jocks from, you know, the island or whatever. And, you know, quite frankly, you have a diverse friend group. People don't automatically assume you're Jewish just because you're hanging out, you know, with the Italian and Irish kids. And all of a sudden people are like, those fucking, you know, K words, those fucking, right. You're like, what the fuck? How did we get here? And all of a sudden you're sitting there in a position where, you know, you're 15 and hanging out with, you know, a couple older guys. And you're like, is this really like the group that I'm about? Is this really, you know, who just like so openly just disparages like groups of people like this? And it's like, it leaves a really weird taste in your mouth the first time you experience that. And you have sort of no control of your environment at that point. Meaning like, you know, I'm like I said, I'm 15. I don't have a car. I didn't drive here. I'm relying on this person, to take me out of this party or whatever. And these kids are just, spewing hate. And all of a sudden it feels like I'm a part of this. And I'm like, I hate this. I want to make sure that I never do this or put myself in a situation to, be around this. And so you experience other things, growing up too, from younger ages or whatnot. But really, by the time you hit high school, you should truly understand like what's right and what's wrong. And it's very, crazy to me that you have people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s who still can't decipher that. And it just drives me crazy. But that was really an eye-opening experience for me growing up.
Okay. Being a New Yorker, what is like the number one thing you love about New York? It doesn't have to be Long Island specifically, but New York, and flip it. What is like the number one thing you're like, I can't stand this about?
Let's say, look, New York, it's all about the food, baby. You got New York pizza. I know you had a great pizza debate the other day on the show. You got New York pizza and bagels, and full stop, you're not going to get anywhere better than New York.
Nope. And fuck Chicago, by the way.
Whoa. We have a bit of a Chicago contingency. The deep dish pizza is fine, perfectly acceptable, love it, but it's different. So I don't even consider that pizza really.
We have to agree to disagree on that one. I hate Chicago. It's fucking dough, man.
No, Chicago's dope. Chicago, here's the thing about Chicago. So I've been to Chicago various times, throughout when I was in advertising, because we used to shoot there a whole bunch. And Chicago in the summertime, it'll trick you into wanting to move there. That's how pretty Chicago is.
Yeah, and it's freaking cold, man.
Because Chicago's super clean. And it's crazy and it's super nice and it's it's a well-structured city. You're like, I love it here. And you go there during the winter, you're like, nah, I'm never coming back.
It's terrible.
So I would say the winters in New York are the absolute worst.
Okay.
And then the pizza and the bagels, by far the best.
Absolutely agree with you with the pizzas. You can't get a bagel out here. You go to a place, they say, a bagel? Is that a donut? It's not a fucking donut, it's a bagel. Okay.
Oh, man.
Let's talk about the Midas Touch. Before we do, you explain how it started, so we're good there. But I want to tell the viewers a tweet that Jordy put out. I believe it was a tweet you put out maybe a week ago. It was a tweet. And talking about the anti-Semitic bullshit that you get for taking your stances that you do on your show, and you guys do. So when I saw that, it infuriated me because I hate keyboard warriors. They wouldn't have the balls to say it to your face. Facts. I get it too. They come in your DM or they say something on a tweet because they got, social media balls. But when I saw that, I was like, I wanted to bring you on solo to the show because I despise fucking bullies. I say it on Twitter all the time. I despise them. I leave my DM open to people. If they get bullied, I have no problem taking them on. I can't stand bullies. Talk a little bit about, also I want to say this as well. I always put out that the things that you guys say on your show that I say on my show, when you're on the right side of history and you speak your mind, it comes at a cost. It's not always equated to money. It could be other things. I explain it to people because they always go, oh, you lost money. It's not always money that you lose. So I commend you guys for taking the stances. But again, it comes at a cost, like it does with Mary, like it does with a lot of people. When Anthony Scaramucci says the things that he says and being Italian and where he's at, he catches it.
Another Long Islander, yeah. No,
right,
totally.
He catches it. So with all of that said, I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you have gotten being one of the co-hosts of the MeidasTouch.
Yeah, so I won't go into specifics because it's really some hateful shit. But,
right, that's fine.
But just to take a quick step back. So like you said, right, I already touched on MeidasTouch, but just for those who don't know, we like to think of ourselves as just unapologetically pro-democracy, right? We like to push ideals forward that are better for your neighbor than worse for your neighbor, whether that be COVID relief, $15 plus minimum wage, really just simple, basic, human rights that people need, to live day to day. And so when you push just pro-democracy values, apparently, people don't like that. And it's probably the same people who are being screwed by folks who they're, defending, the Donald Trumps of the world, who, honestly wouldn't pee on them if they were on fire to put it out. Absolutely. And that's what's so crazy. And so, yeah, every day. And like you said, I keep my DMs open too, because I love engaging with the Midas Mighty. The Midas Mighty are the absolute best. For those who don't know, the Midas Mighty are, the contingency of MeidasTouch supporters and people who really just honestly are the heart and soul of MeidasTouch and everything we do. And so I love interacting with everyone who wants to join the movement or be a part of the movement. And I've really made some like amazing friends along this journey. And it's going to sound crazy because, I've been cooped up in my house for, 2 years plus now. But honestly, I've made some of the best friends during this time than I have ever had in my entire life.
I can relate.
And unfortunately, though, when you do keep those DMs open, you try to engage and be nice and sort of, give people, time and really have conversations with them. There are always going to be losers. There are always going to be haters who come in and say some just abhorrent like shit in your DMs, whether that be calling you, this, that, or the third. I don't want to get into specifics because I don't want to give this person like very specific,
That's fine.
cred for doing it. But yeah, when that happened, I was just like, because it goes so much beyond what we do on the podcast too. It's like, we have an organization and we try and do things beyond media landscape and try and go into the real world, whether that be organizing canvassers, getting up billboards, getting up TV commercials, just finding really creative ways to break through the clutter that is, the political landscape. And so when you're having a 15, 16, I'm sure you can relate, when you're having a 15, 16, 17-hour day of just putting in the work and doing the crunches, as I like to say, and all of a sudden you have some shithead come in and call you, the K word. You're like, what the fuck, man? Like really, this is what you're going to do right now? And you're just exhausted. And usually I have like the mental fortitude to just like look beyond it or like, give them a sassy reply or something like that. But that one really irked me just for the fact that it's like, wow, like, how naive could I have been as a young kid thinking that this didn't exist in the world? Mm-hmm. And now, honestly, it's sort of a blessing in disguise, as weird as that is to say, because it really opens your eyes to just see the hatred that's out there and knowing every single day what you're fighting against.
Okay. And I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And I always put out, I tell my viewers and my followers, kindness, contrary to what Trump and his assholes say, kindness is strength. The fuckers that'll tell you that kindness is weakness are the ones that are weak. And it's so twisted that when you show compassion and kindness, which are beautiful human traits, to that percentage of people that support them, they think that's weakness when they're the fucking ones that are really weak. I mean, it's pathetic. But what I also like to talk about is you guys are branching out, which I love. You guys are doing,
yes,
I know
sir.
Ben is doing his what is it called? The legal.
Ben does the Legal AF podcast that plays every Saturday night, goes out every Sunday. And what that podcast is that's like a legal breakdown of all the craziness that you see in the news every week. That's super highbrow and like doesn't make any sense to the ordinary person. Ben does this show called Legal AF with another lawyer, Michael Popok is actually the lawyer for MeidasTouch. And they break it down in layman's terms. They break it down so you could understand it. And it's honestly like you're sitting in a law class, but a law class that's tolerable and told by two people who you really like and respect.
Yep.
So we do that show. And we also just released a show with I Am Politics Girl, as she's known on Twitter. Also Breakfast Ran, as she's known on Instagram. Lee McGowan, she is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like the biggest star. I can't say enough great words about her. We just dropped her podcast. Sorry. We just dropped her podcast on Tuesday. And she is like just crushing it right now. I think she had 100,000 downloads in the first day or whatever. Yeah. She was number 3 on the charts of all the news in America, the entire United States. And just, she is a total rock star. And we have, another podcast called Zoomed In that goes out every Wednesday, goes live on Twitter every Thursday. That's with 2 kids, Gen Z kids, Aaron Parnas and Jack Cocciarella. They're super smart, love the space, and it's politics told from the younger generation's perspective of what they're seeing. So it's cool to be able to hand off the mic and have, those folks, take a step up and amplify their voices. And then we have another podcast called Kremlin File, which is a deep dive into sort of how Russia's Putin came to be and like how we can combat that and what are the signs, that fascism is sort of coming over here to the United States. And so that's also goes out every Wednesday, and they are just amazing, hosts, and it's held by 2 people who are actually on I believe like Putin's kill list. And so
Oh.
it gets a little bit spicy, a little bit more of a niche audience, but like amazing like stories that they have, and they have incredible guests who come on, and we're continuing to expand, right? So we like to say, like, we started as this PAC, this political action committee that had a media arm, and now really what we want to do is we want to become a media arm, you know, that sort of has the PAC, because what we've noticed is the media right now, the media landscape is so funny, because you have Fox, who is just a propaganda arm for the Republican Party. You have the OANs, the Newsmaxes, et cetera, that do the same. The left doesn't, and not saying that it's going to be a propaganda arm, but the left doesn't have someone who's unapologetically pro-democracy and just calls it like it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yes.
you have the CNNs, the MSNBCs, CNN more specifically. They're always, you know, so eager to show you both sides of the story. Meanwhile, if, for example, the both sides of the story, there's 1,000 people who say this one thing, and then there are 3 people who have, you know, this perspective on it, and it's a crazy QAnon perspective. They give those 3 people equal weighted voices to the, you know, rest of the 999, you know, 7 who are saying the right and normal stuff. So it gets scary. And so what we want to do is we want to combat all of that craziness with the just unapologetically pro-democracy network that helps arm people with real information, and we want both sides of shit. Like, we're not fanboys of the Democratic Party by any means. We're not fanboys of Joe Biden. Like, if Biden said to inject bleach, we'd be like, Biden, we're out, man. We're not injecting bleach.
Right.
But we are fanboys of democracy, and we love this country, and we want to make sure that this, you know, we leave the country and our republic and our democracy better than what we found for our kids.
And that's, you guys are doing what I'm doing, the same thing. You know, just because I lean towards the Democratic side doesn't mean I'm going to give them a pass on everything. You know, and then you take shit too from the left. You're like, well, how you're not in the left anymore, you know, or they can't. Or if you don't agree with a particular program, now you're on the right. No, that doesn't mean it. But through what you said, and I want to emphasize this because I feel the same way, is you guys are putting country first, and that's where I get on both parties. The Democrats are better than the Republicans. There is no Republican Party anymore in my mind. It's gone.
Facts. Yeah.
But and the Democrats,
GQP is what we like to call them.
Exactly. But I agree with you. But you just said something that I want to see the Democrats do more of. Put country first. All of this party shit it's hurting the country. You have to step, in my opinion, you have to step back and put the country first. And if it's doing tough things, then you gotta do them. And realistically, the Democrats have a great opportunity now to do it because there is no other fucking party, even though they're still going, but they're insane. So I commend you guys, because I heard Ben say something the other day on your show, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a shot at the Democrats. It might have been, maybe it was messaging or it was something. I think it was messaging. It might have been about messaging.
It was around the term "Build Back Better." Ben's not a fan of that term.
Okay.
Loves what it does,
right,
and thinks it should be communicated that way more directly. Hey, this is what we're doing for you and your family, versus, you know, this sort of marketing term that feels like more of a heavy lift than it actually is.
There you go. Okay.
But I got to say, Brad, too, we love and respect your show so much because you do exactly what we strive to do every day, and that's just call it like it is. You know, we're not a fanboy of any one political party. Our ideals lean Democratic, our ideals lean progressive, but at the end of the day, like, our values are pro-democracy.
Exactly. And we need more of that. And, you know, I want to go back to CNN because I'll be honest with you, I don't watch CNN anymore because it disgusts me. I don't have a problem if they put Chris. I don't want to see Chris Christie because he's full of shit. But okay, but if you're gonna put Chris,
who's his publicist, man? I mean, kudos to that publicist. Just
to get him an hour special on CNN
on every fucking network. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, but the thing is, what pissed me off with the media too is you had President Biden sign an infrastructure bill, which you guys are well aware of, was one of the biggest things maybe in the last 50 years for a president, and every fucking lead story was that paramecium looking fuck Steve Bannon. I mean, seriously, fucking lead story. Who gives a shit about Steve Bannon? You know, correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys are more in the mix than I am with political stuff because you have so many great guests on. But you remember when they said, I don't remember exactly who said, but they put out the mainstream media, not fucking Fox and OAN and all of them. I don't think they were around then, and Newsmax. They said, this election, we're not going to give all this free time and press to Trump, where he got billions of dollars free. And all of them did the same fucking thing. They gave him all the airtime in the world.
There's one way to cover him in a way that's not just giving him the free airtime.
Mhm.
And there's another way of doing exactly what you described, where no, now you're actually just running ad campaigns for him.
Yes.
Right? Like, you can't both sides any issue when it comes to Trump. You have to call the facts. The facts are this.
Yes.
Don't give him a window in. And it's what we try and do too every time we bring him up on our show, because unfortunately there's this entire huge, contingency of the country that listens to this man and takes it as gospel. So it's not right, in my opinion, to actually completely ignore him, but there's a way you have to objectively call it, where you just state the facts of why his craziness is a danger, to society, and why he's frankly wrong on specific issues. That you called it exactly, that the CNNs of the world, they don't do that, or they don't do that well enough.
And they're getting worse. They're getting worse. I mean, but the way they handle this is what really set me off of CNN. The way they handle, look, I don't have all the knowledge on it, but I was in the military for 20 years and 28 days. We had to pull out of Afghanistan. And to be honest with you, 2 or 3 presidents earlier, including President Obama, including President Bush, they should have got us the fuck out of there. And
1000%.
the way CNN handled that, I'm not saying the operation was perfect, but they leave out factors that made it tough to just pull out of there. And they were, every night, they were like bashing President Biden. I'm like, you're not covering this story fairly. You're sensationalizing it. And people that, and I don't want to throw names out there, but people that I used to have respect for that have also got caught in other shit now too, that they shouldn't have. I won't watch them anymore because I don't think they're covering it fair. Look, if you say to me, under the Trump administration, they started Operation Warp Speed, that's a fact. I mean, it's a fact. Whether it was done successfully or not, you could debate all that, but it was done under his administration. People they rewrite the facts to make it more sensational, and that drives me fucking nuts.
Absolutely. There's that old news saying, what is it? And it's gross in this application: if it bleeds, it leads. And then the way CNN and those news stations started to cover that, they were using, our fallen soldiers as props almost. And it became really a tough story to really watch, because you were upset as, not just an American, but a person for those soldiers who had lost their lives over there. And things could have obviously gone better. The pullout could have gone better, but, put our heads down and we got out. Like you said, we should have been out 2 presidencies earlier. And honestly, we should have never been there, but we should have been out at least 2 presidencies earlier. And Biden said that he was going to do it, and we did it.
Okay. Have you had a guest on? You've had so many great guests. Has there ever been a guest off the top of your head that said something you were like, holy fuck, I can't? And it doesn't have to be like they said something like, they were cursing or something, but something that just like you like, wow, I didn't even know that.
Wow. Let's see. I'll say this. Every time we have Mary Trump on the show,
Marielle. We got to say Marielle.
Really?
Yeah, Marielle Trump.
Okay. Every time we have Marielle Trump on the show, she is that what she says? She likes to go by that?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't push it, but
Okay.
I'm like the
Good
only one.
Every time we have Marielle Trump on the show, she's just so smart. Yeah. Like, she is just such a smart person. And the knowledge that she bestows upon me and the brothers and our audience is, I think, is invaluable. It's something that our audience, goes beyond politics and more into a deeper sort of psychological and sociological, levels. And I just love having her on the show every time we do, and are fortunate enough to have her on because she's that smart and just that great of a person. Mm-hmm. And then what terrifies me separately from Mary coming on the show and being amazing, when we have certain politicians, former politicians of Florida come on, and, we sort of bring up DeSantis, for example, and they mention that, hey, DeSantis, he's a smarter Trump. He is going to be the next, in their words, the next Republican president of this country. And that idea terrifies me at my core, because he's a scary dude. And he does have this cult-like following around him, similarly to how Trump was able to garner that cult. And he is more savvy. And so when I have that sort of opinion, affirmed by folks who have been in the game, who've dedicated their lives to politics, their whole lives, it scares me knowing that I'm right, because that man cannot be president of this country.
Yeah. And you just had David Jolly on, who talked about that.
Yeah, David
was
Jolly
a perfect guest.
Spoke about that. He was amazing.
Yeah, I watched that show. Death Santis. My best friend lives in Florida, on Miami Beach, and just this guy, as I call him, Death Santis.
Yeah, that's a perfect nickname for him. He's anti-science. He's pro-COVID. Honestly, he doesn't care about his constituents. But then there are times when he's able to play the game, the political game, so much better than Trump ever could. And if you want to point to a really horrific, incident, was when those buildings that collapsed. Over there,
he was with
went
Biden.
To go
he was with Biden.
Sit down with Biden. And you would never. And look, it was the right thing to do.
Yes, it was.
That's what any person, any leader needs to do. You can never imagine Trump doing that. So seeing this, the savviness, for lack of a better word, coming from a Death Santis, when he's just been wrong so many times over and over, and his following continues to grow and grow, it scares me.
Yeah, it's a cult. It really is a cult.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a cult to Trump. And Trump, people, and this as well as I do, he's a fucking useful idiot. I mean, I tell people, as much as I despise, I hate McConnell and Cruz and these people like that. I tell them, look, they're not stupid people. I say they do stupid things and they're evil, but they're stupid. Trump is stupid. He's a stupid man.
He's stupid. And then the other guys are playing stupid.
Exactly. Playing stupid or doing stupid things. But if Death Santis becomes fucking president, he's going to do a lot worse in this country than Trump did. Because and you're right. And it's funny you mentioned that one, because when he sat down with President Biden, when the condo crashed in Surfside, which is, I live not too far from there on Miami Beach years ago, he sat down with them. And if you didn't know any of the history, you'd be like, oh, see, Republicans and Democrats can come together. And then shortly thereafter, he started attacking President Biden again with that bullshit.
Starts attacking him, going on. He brings in the Surgeon General, who's, anti-COVID,
Well, how about when he went after Fauci? What was the shirt?
With the shirts. Though. Yeah, we actually made rebuttal shirts that I think will forever be evergreens. Don't Death Santis my country.
There you go.
Because how pathetic are you as a man or as a politician that you're going to create shirts attacking Dr. Fauci, someone who's, again, dedicated his entire life to helping, preserve life in this country, preserve life around the world. And you're going to make him like your target enemy, public enemy number one. And not only that, you're going to then fundraise off of him for your campaign. It's so bizarre, man. We live in a most strange time. It is truly, truly bizarre.
It is. Dream guest. Do you have a dream guest?
Oh, wow. Selfishly, Jen Psaki would definitely be my dream guest. The way she gets up there every day, handles those press briefings. I mean, one, it's a breath of fresh air. And two, we sort of coined this term Psaki bomb, which is when these reporters come, out of left field and ask these questions that are really just like anti-fact. They'll say, some people are saying that X, Y, and Z. And she's like, oh, who's saying that? And then these reporters can't answer because they're just basically making it up to fit their agenda. And so anytime that she is able to rebuke one of these claims and make a reporter look a little bit silly while still giving the facts of the situation, we refer to that as a Psaki bomb. And I always wanted to ask her if she knows what a Psaki bomb is. Now, spoiler alert, she was on a different show not too long ago where she confirmed that she did know what it was. And so that was a really cool moment.
That is cool. That is cool. To date, and you guys are growing so much, but to this day, what are you most proud of about the MeidasTouch?
Oh, man. I'm proud of a lot. If I have to point to one singular thing, it would be the community of pro-democracy folks who we got to, rally alongside of. Rally alongside us, that we refer to as the Midas Mighty. We are political outsiders. We never pretended to be anything that we weren't. And so, like I said, I'm marketing. Ben's a lawyer. Brett's a great, 2-time Emmy award-winning editor. And so we share, the love for this country. And it's been so great to sort of unify people who, we like to refer to ourselves as accidental activists, who they themselves also refer to themselves as accidental activists without knowing it, because there were people who also weren't as engaged in the political landscape until, COVID started, really popping off and their families were put at risk. So to be able to unite the sort of coalition of pro-democracy folks together, it's honestly one of the most rewarding things in my life. And like I said, I made some of the best friends. I've already made some of the best friends of my life during this movement. I haven't even met them in person yet. I've Zoomed with them and talked to them over the phone or talked to them only in the DMs. But honestly, I know so much about these folks. It's really special, and I'm just excited to keep growing and finding more folks who are down for the cause.
Okay. The Jordy Dance.
Oh,
What is the Jordy Dance?
okay. So the Jordy Dance is, I don't know if there's a singular dance, but I could give you a little backstory really quick. When I was at the Ohio State University, I had this company. It was a bar mitzvah, wedding, and Sweet 16 company. It was called Trending Sounds Entertainment. It was a really fun company at the time. My buddy had started it, and I worked alongside him to help grow it. And like I said, we put on bar mitzvahs, weddings, and Sweet 16s, and we would hire interns and be able to actually give them internship credit through the school who were dance majors. So I picked up some of my moves along the way from these incredible dance majors who, you know, would serve as our dancers for these events that we would throw in the community of Columbus or a little bit outside Columbus, or whether it be Cleveland or Cincy or wherever the gig was. And we started this, you know, great little company, and it was awesome. I was the MC. So I wasn't a dancer, but I was the MC. My buddy DJ'd. And then we had our core group of dancers who were phenomenal. And so I got to like sort of piggyback off like just a little bit of their moves. And it's good to have a background in basketball, which is the sport, my main sport that I played growing up. And so it's, you know, a little bit of the same movements, same rhythms.
Okay.
And so that's been fun.
Okay. I want to say, and I could be wrong at her handle. I hate to misquote. Is it Keisha, Midas Keisha or something like
Midas
that? She was
Keisha.
like, you got to ask. So Midas Keisha, you see, I asked about the Jordan.
Yes.
So see,
Okay. Keisha is day one. And so when I talk about the Midas Mighty, there's no Midas Mighty without our Midas Mighty OGs. And she is certainly one of them who has been around since the very onset of the movement, who has gone all in with us along the way to help, you know, spread our message, because she too is a true patriot to this country. And it's been so rewarding to find, you know, folks just like Midas Keisha, although she's one in a million, but it's been so rewarding to find folks just like her, who are down for the cause and want to fight for this democracy.
Yeah, you guys have some great followers, because a lot of them are following me, and they interact, and you know, they always have the Midas, it's in their bio and all that. And
They're the best,
really,
the absolute best.
Yeah, they're great. They're great followers. Want to touch again a little bit on one more talking point of Jewish connection. My father's side was Jewish. My mother's side is Italian. And I asked Ben this question, and I'm curious what you would have to say, Jordy. How can, at this point, after all the shit that Trump has done, being a racist and discriminating, how can, in your opinion, and you probably know what I'm going to ask you.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, how can any Jewish person, man or woman, whether they're Orthodox, whether they're whatever, still, and I'm not saying there's a huge number, but there are some that still support this son of a bitch. Why do you think that is?
1,000% right. And I wish I knew, because that is the $1 bajillion answer. Unless you're part of the community, you know, the Jewish community, I don't think you realize how divided it really is. It's about 50-50 from my perspective of, you know, folks that I'm sort of around and engage with. And it is wild to me. And I guess I should have seen signs of this sort of, you know, when I was in Columbus and there was a Jewish contingency over there that leaned pretty, you know, Republican at the time. But again, there's no Republican Party anymore. So I would hope those kids have, you know, now come over to a side that's more sane and progressive. But I really doubt that they have. Right. And I don't know, but you are spot on. I would say it's about 50-50. I think it's way more prevalent than most people even realize, that the community is split in half like that. I think a lot of it is how Trump just takes advantage of certain people. And so, for example, you have that lunatic in Ohio, the Josh Mandel, for example.
Okay.
I'm 99.9% sure he's, you know, a Jewish guy that grew up, you know, sort of in the area of Ohio. And he's running to be the next senator there. And it's really scary, because this guy is pure QAnon Trump cultist. Yeah. I'm not making this up by any degree. And so, you know, that he goes to synagogues, though, where there are also people like him who are down with Trump or down with that. And frankly, I don't have a good answer why the community is so split, because to your point exactly, like, it is so obvious and scary what Trump has done to people all over the globe. Right. For you to not realize, as a Jewish person, this man's a danger to society. This man's a danger to, you know, just regular ways of living. And he's going to continue to divide sections of people until he's got this one, you know, ideological, whatever it is, cult following that is the Trump cult. And so if I had to give an answer, it would be the proximity to power, and that trickles down to the community. So you have a Josh Mandel in Ohio, who's running for senator, who, is chummy with Trump, and Trump brings him up. So then the Mandels of the world get their network of people around them to also be like, oh, look how good he's actually doing. This man's actually not so bad. Look, see, he's doing this, that. And it's just a trick. It's a con. And that's who he is. He's Don the Con.
Yeah.
And that's how.
Yeah. I'll piggyback on what you said, which disgusts me, because I also don't understand how any African-American can support him. But I want to go back to our Jewish side. So this son of a bitch says there's fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. So the fine people on the other side were calling Jews the K word, and Jews will not replace us, blood and soil, which we know is Nazism. But this is how big of a piece of shit he is, and this is how really this is facts. So we know the little piece of shit son-in-law that still wears his bar mitzvah suit or when he goes around, Jarrett, had his family made a big deal about the daughter converting to Judaism. And I don't know her Jewish name, but Deb knows it better than me. Mm-hmm. His grandchildren are being raised Jewish.
Yeah.
This is fact. So you are saying that those people are fine that are calling Jews the K word and basically would put Jews in ovens, but your grandchildren are Jewish and your daughter converted to Judaism. If that doesn't get a Jewish person to say, you know what, I'm not a Democrat. I hate the Democrats, but I can't. And I always go back to what you said. It's the $1 billion question is, you can not like Reagan, you cannot like Bush, you cannot like all of them. That's fine if you're a staunch Democrat. But I always tell them, this is the one fucking guy that if you're gonna stick party over country, Liz Cheney and all that, we'll get too much credit. This fucking guy, this is the guy. Now, granted, she, January 6th changed it, but so what? She voted for him in 2020. I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
This is the
against
fucker.
Other yeah, no, 1,000%.
And Kinzinger
I agree with you.
does it
They do get way too much credit.
Right, and Adam
if you look
Kinzinger's
at where
the
they
same
voted
way.
on certain
Adam
issues.
He voted for him in 2020 after all the evil shit. But this is the fucker you want to Thelma and Louise off the cliff with, and not even realizing when the car starts to go off the cliff, he's jumping out the car and you're going off the cliff.
Guess what, buddy? You're the first to go. And they don't realize it. And like I said, I think it's the proximity to power. Yeah. They think, oh no, not me. He's my guy. I don't care about these other people.
Yeah.
I'm cool with him. I'm cool with this group. So they're not going to fuck with me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, good luck with that.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Fucking luck.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like the Candace Owens and the Larry Elders of this world. You think because you think that if some shit goes down, that you're not going to be looked at as a black person just because you say things that are detrimental to your race? Oh, no fucking way. That shit ain't happening. You're going to be put out just like anybody else. But go ahead and keep thinking by saying that evil shit that's going to endear you to these people. Because you know as well as I do that his fucking base couldn't stand Kanye, and I can't stand Kanye either. But they couldn't stand Kanye West. But Trump said, no, he's our African. Remember when he said to the guy in the crowd, there's my African American.
He likes to use people as props. Who the fuck talks like that? Who? Right. A sociopath, a person who has deep-rooted hatred in him talks like that.
Exactly.
He likes to use people as props and pawns because he thinks he's playing this video game, and we're all just the ancillary characters, playing along, with him. And it's like, no, that's not how society works. Like you are a crazy, deranged human. You don't treat people like that.
Correct. All right, we talked offline. I know you like football. I want to put a serious question. Do you want to say something?
No.
You said cool.
Where are we going?
Yeah. But it's going to be a serious question.
All right.
I can't redeem you, even though you did get to do that on the show, because with the baseball question, that wasn't worded right. That's not fair.
That baseball question, I know what you're referring to. There was a video. I was on a podcast with Brett a few days ago, Tony Michael's podcast, and we played a quick question of Brother Trivia, and Tony had asked us, how many players are on the baseball team?
Right.
The answer is 26. So I, buzzed in. I said 26, and he goes, no, 9. I'm like, wait. Of course I know there's 9 people on the field at a time. That's the most obvious question. But to know that there's 26 people actually on the roster, that takes a little bit of knowledge. Yeah. So that's what I was all bent out of shape about.
Exactly. So it's going to be a football question. It's going to be a serious football question, and it's going to be in reference to Colin. So my viewers know that I 100% support, as a retired military person, Colin taking a knee. I also am fair to say, if you don't like him taking a knee, this is America, you have the right to do that. What you don't have the right to do with me is change the narrative of why he took a knee. That's where I have a fucking problem with people. It's your right not to like it. I'm not going to tell you what to think, because if that's the case, then, then nobody has a right to think anything. But you don't get to change the narrative. And my better half, Debbie, is a huge football fan. Unfortunately, she likes the Saints, but okay, I could. They did win a Super Bowl. Debbie's going to.
They did. They won it. At least she's not a Jets fan.
Yeah. Oh God. What I want to ask you, and Debbie knows football like I know boxing.
Nice.
And a talking point that these assholes like to say that drives me nuts, and Debbie has addressed it many times. They like to say that, and I'm asking you this as a football person. One of the things, talking points they like to say is that Colin took a knee because basically his run as a good quarterback was over. I know that's bullshit. Debbie has thrown the bullshit flag every single time.
Bullshit.
But as a football guy, for the assholes that may watch this that want to say that talking point, oh, his football career was over. The fuck it was. Break it down.
He was just in the Super Bowl, I think, a year and a half, 2 years before. I mean, he was at the peak of his career.
Yes.
Just you talking about bravery. You're talking about someone who's willing to put it all on the line, to better society and to better the progress of Black and brown people all over the globe, and really stand up for a really amazing, cause, because he was 27, 28 right around the time. That's prime athletic career, especially for a quarterback that you see in the modern era of the NFL. So he's putting it all on the line, knowing that his personal stance on this issue is bigger than his, athletic career. And he is such a tremendous athlete and just trusts a tremendous quarterback that he could play in the league tomorrow, Brad. Right. He could come back there are plenty. My Jets need him desperately. He could play in the league tomorrow. He's been working out nonstop ever since he's been out, trying to get a shot to get back in, but he's fucking blackballed. He can't get a shot or an opportunity. It's ridiculous. And meanwhile, he was at his athletic, prime, about to hit the stride where most people make $200 million, $300 million contracts. And he put all that aside because he wanted a better society, because he didn't feel what was going on in America was right at the time. And his whole protest and his whole message got co-opted by these crazy people on the right, by the Donald Trumps of the world, saying that he was anti-military. The protest had nothing to do with the military. Nothing. Y'all are going to, and I don't say you, I say, the Trumpists and the wackos on the right are going to take that narrative and run with it. But meanwhile, if you actually care, if you actually want to take a second to understand why he did what he did, it has nothing to do with the military. There's not at all. It was the unjust treatment of Black and brown people all over, the United States. And frankly, just so ridiculous. And it infuriates me to this day that he's not in the league, because he's still 34, 35. He could still be playing. You see guys like Brady out there now. Brady obviously has a much different career or whatever, but Brady's in his 40s, and Brady's going to keep playing until he's 45 or whatnot. Colin, who has an amazing arm and just an amazing talent for the position, he would be dominating in today's NFL. Dominant, especially the way that they call flags for these quarterbacks these days. He would be dominating.
Yeah. And like I said, that's why I want you to talk to that as a football person, because I get so tired of that bullshit. And if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong on this, the Super Bowl that he went to, wasn't he like a couple inches from like winning it? If I remember correctly. Yeah,
there was that was the lights off game, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Or it was like the start of the third quarter, the lights went out, and there was a big comeback, I think, by his team. I might be misremembering it, but I know it was him versus it was the San Francisco versus Baltimore.
Right.
And he was, it was a very close and competitive game. And if he, continues to have the opportunities to play in the NFL, there's no doubt in my mind that he'd be a multi-winning Super Bowl winning quarterback at this time.
And I'm going to add this, and I'm going to say it because I've said it on my show. Fuck the NFL, honestly, because if anybody, if you care about, you have tons of African Americans, but brown and a lot of African American people on the football teams. If you wanted to make a fucking statement, even if you hired him and you sat down with him and you gave him the choice and you said, look, Colin, I'm going to hire you because I want to make a statement. You may not be the starting quarterback. You notice up front, if you don't want to sign a contract with me, okay, that's fine. But you may start, you may not. I'm not going to make that promise, but I'm going to bring you on my team because I want to make a statement to all the other teams and to America that I stand with you, that what you did was right. And I think they're fucking cowards. I used to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. And when Jerry Jones played all of that bullshit, and I think he kind of took a knee and then he turned it around. I could care less about the Dallas Cowboys.
The NFL and the NFL owners totally co-opted the movement. They co-opted the messaging. They co-opted everything. They co-opted the kneel. all of a sudden that Sunday night, that Monday night, after Trump had called players, sons of bitches.
Yep.
Or whatever, the players and their owners, 32, 31 of which are white guys, all took a knee with their team. And right there, you're sort of missing the point of what's happening here. That's not the point of why Colin took the knee in the first place. And now what you're doing as the Jerry Joneses of the world, you're pushing this message out to the country that now this is about Trump. Now this is solely about Trump and how he's treating you guys. And meanwhile, it's like, how did we get here? It's such a clear and concise message that Colin was trying, to communicate, and I think communicated, amazingly, and just got completely co-opted by the owners, by the president, and by the NFL. It's just so ridiculous. Now let me ask you something, Brad. I know you said, that you're a staunch, Colin supporter and totally understand and everything. Did it take you a second though for it to really click, or did you know right away?
Right away.
This has nothing to do.
Look. Yeah. I tell people this, and I'll give you another talking point of it. No, from the very beginning, and I also squashed the bullshit where they say about the flag and disrespect. I got a fucking flag in my shadow box. That flag was flown over the Pentagon on April 12, 2006, which is my father, God rest his soul's, birthday. And when I retired, they gave me all my medals in a box. We don't take a fucking oath to the flag of the United States of America. And I'm not a flag burner. I'm not for people to wipe their ass with and piss on, even though it is your right to do that in this country. I tell people this. There's things that we don't like that happen in this country. I don't like the KKK, but if you take away their rights to march, then Colin doesn't have a right to do what he does. It's both sides. You don't have to support it. You can protest against it, but this is America, and this is one thing that we do have these freedoms. And I try to tell these knuckleheads this, but we don't take an oath to the flag. I raise my hand. We take an oath to the fucking Constitution, and that's where these dumbasses. And I always have a line. It's a funny line, but it's the truth. These motherfuckers that talk about the military and try to represent me haven't, Jordy, even served in the fucking Salvation Army, let alone the United States fucking Army. So stop with, you know this and you know that. So, no, I knew from the beginning. I was with them 100%. In fact, I got a shirt the other day. I wore it on when I interviewed Adam Rich that they sent me that said, "No one ever died taking a knee." And it's Colin taking a knee. And the lettering around it. But no, I stand with it. And if I ever had the opportunity to go somewhere and take a knee, that it sent the message across the board that you got a military person here that's willing to do it, that I've served during war and peace, during a Gulf War in country and in Iraq where I was in the Pentagon, I would take a knee with them right now. And I say this, and this isn't popular, when you talk about military gets so much credit. We're patriots, we're this and that. Yes, in a volunteer service, you are volunteering. It's not a draft. I give them credit, but here's my problem, and I mean this, whether it's popular or not. If you're a military member who still supports Donald Trump after January 6th insurrection, me personally, your service, you've negated it, meaning you don't care about this country. You care about Donald Trump's fucking bullshit. So I'm not one of those that just because you were in the military, that makes you a good person. That's not true. We got evil fucking people in the military. I'm not saying all. I stand with the troops, but you got bad people in the military too. You got fucking Mike Flynn, who should be tried. He should lose his fucking rank. He should lose his retirement, and he should be locked the fuck up because that bastard and it's not because it's my opinion. It's fact. He's a fucking traitor to this country. And this one religion shit, are you fucking kidding me?
Nuts.
That's scary shit.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no one more deranged, I think, right now at this moment than Michael Flynn. And that's saying a lot because you got some really fucked up people out there.
Do.
But the way Flynn is able, the way this guy with general in front of his name, is able to really co-opt this QAnon messaging and sort of build this cult following around him in the name of Trump, in the name quote unquote of the country. And meanwhile, the only person that's really servicing is himself. He goes to speak at these events. He gets paid tens of thousands of dollars to go and speak. And he
That's
gets to preach this hate to people who are just buying into the bullshit because he is this highly decorated, veteran.
Yeah.
And it's, it's unfortunate because like you said, bro, like I can't thank you enough for all of your service and everything that you've done for this country, volunteering, taking it upon yourself to put your life on the line to make sure that there was America, as you know and love for your kids and the next generation of kids, and the whole country. And then you have guys like General Michael Flynn who go up there and spew hatred, who spew QAnonism, who really despise this country at the root of it. And it's a very sad, and scary thing to see.
It is. It's disgusting. And the fact that this bastard gave him a fucking pardon when he was guilty, come on, he pardoned him, So yeah, it's disgusting. But yeah, no, to answer your question, no, I knew from the very beginning what Colin was doing. I was 100% for it. And where I live in Trump land in Northwest Indiana, that ain't a popular stance, but I don't give a fuck because it's about moving humanity forward.
Facts.
And they're not changing my opinion. And it's not politics anymore. It's fucking good versus evil. Period.
Yeah.
So, all right. On that serious note, let's segue into the second part of the conversation. Just the fun, random questions.
All right.
Let's see where you go with these. All right. First of all, first one.
Getting ready.
There you go. What is your favorite genre of movies?
Comedy. And let me tell you why. I feel like comedies have to be written really well, in order to, first off, there aren't that many comedies anymore because I feel like the Marvels of the world, they get the big budgets because they bring in the big, monies and all of that, which I have no problem with. I love, the action stuff of it. But a good comedy that is written really well and smart and makes you think and laugh, I think that does, especially in a time where everything can be so doom and gloom, bring you up a beat. So a good comedy.
Okay. And I got to say this, I don't know if you've ever been told this before, and it's past your generation, not during your time, but I'm sure you heard of them. When I watched the three of you guys together, the camaraderie and the fun, not just being brothers, but the stuff that I know is being brought up Jewish, even though I was brought up Catholic, that's a whole another fucking, I'm a mess. But you guys have like a Marx Brother type of thing going. Has anybody ever said it to you guys?
No, that's the first time we've gotten that one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm serious. And I love the Marx Brothers. I thought they were brilliant in their comedies back in the Groucho, Harpo, and Chico. But because to me, you and Brett, I mean, Ben can cut up too, but Ben is kind of more of the straight guy who sets up you guys who are the funny guys. Though Ben can be funny too, though. Ben
Absolutely.
can be funny too.
Yeah.
So
that's really funny. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I love the brother comparisons. Anytime someone could give us a funny brother comparison of who they think we remind them of, and they were brothers. Harpo, Chico, and Groucho were all, they were all brothers. Okay, and there was Zeppo too. Favorite? This might be a tough one, but either favorite or go to anytime you can watch it over and over movie is? This is where I'm going to confuse people because I just said comedies are my favorite, but I'm going to go with The Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
I throw that. So I like to say I'm 8 going on 28. And why do I say that? It's because like every night before I fall asleep, I like to just relax by putting on that movie because Christian Bale just crushes that role as Batman in those movies. And so I just throw it on. It's a super long movie, fall asleep to it. Heath Ledger as the Joker. I mean, that's an unbelievable performance that you get for The Dark Knight. Honestly, you see really good acting in that film. And so that's my go-to that I'm just going to throw it on and fall asleep to or throw it on and watch a scene here and there.
You and Debbie both, Christian Bale is her favorite too.
Okay. Oh, nice. Does Debbie like The Fighter? Because Christian Bale crushed The Fighter with Mark
we actually watched that. I mean, it's based on Mickey Ward. I know Mickey, not personally, but at charity.
We might have to get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite actress?
Oh, there's so many really talented actors.
Throw a couple out. That's fine. I know it's a tough one. Favorite is always tough.
Who I love because I see her in comedies all the time? Leslie Mann. She is hilarious. She's the one who's in the Knocked Up films. I think she's actually married to Judd Apatow, and she is amazing. Just absolutely love her. Obviously, Angelina Jolie is fantastic.
Poor Angela Jolie to have John Voight as a father.
So when
I love John Voight's acting. I love him. I loved him on Ray
Absolutely.
Donovan.
Oh, he was fantastic on Ray
He's
Donovan.
insane. He's insane.
When I was in Brooklyn, man, I got tricked into, taking a photo with Voight. It was 2016. It was kind of right before he started to like speak out publicly. He had just moved, to the area. And I saw him, walking down, and I never do this, but I was a huge Ray Donovan fan at the time. And so was my mom. And all I wanted to do was show her a picture of me and Nikki. And so he was walking down the street, and I think they were writing something on him at the time because he had a lot of people, taking photos next to him. Hey, you mind jumping in one? And he was nice. And we jumped in one. And then I think it was like a week or two later, he starts going off on all this, crazy pro-Trump stuff and putting it out on the internets. And I'm just like, oh shit, this photo can never be seen by anybody.
But that's back to, I mean, it's not, we're not saying democracy, but see, that's fair because people will say, look, I can't stand James Woods, but there's a lot of performances I like James Woods in. I'm not going to say, oh, I like Stallone, but I'm not going to say, oh, they suck now as an actor. No, they suck as a human being. But they don't suck it. You don't take away their body of work, and now you love them. The same thing with De Niro. When De Niro said "fuck Trump" at the Emmys or Tonys or whatever Emmys I think it was, he used his platform. All of those people that could quote every line, "You talking to me? You talking to me? You never put me down, Ray." Every line, he was a god.
Yeah. Because
he spoke his mind. Now he's a dog, a mutt, or whatever. But you get to speak your mind. It's the hypocrisy. Because like I said, everybody has a right to speak, but going back to what you said earlier, you guys are fair. We both liked him as Mickey. Neither one of us is going to say, oh, Mickey sucked because he's an asshole as a person.
Great. He was great as Mickey. He sucks as an individual. It's a funny day and age that we live in because growing up, it was easier to do this, right? There's others saying you have to separate the art from the artist. But when the artist is such a fucking punk, it makes it harder and harder to do that. Yeah. And honestly, it's probably a sliding scale for most people of, ultimately what tips them over the edge. I know who's the old timey movie director who was in the Dirty Harry movies growing up, who's just
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, man. I mean, he is just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe Clint Eastwood, but I can't separate the art from the artist anymore when I look at
I didn't like when he did the you could be Republican, you could be Democrat, independent, whatever you want to be. But when he came out and he did the chair thing with President Obama, I'm like, that's fucking tacky. I don't know if you remember that. He came out, and it was like an empty chair. That was several years back. But okay, flip that. Favorite actor? Is it Bale? Is Christian Bale or?
I would probably have to go Christian Bale because I'll probably get made fun of if I actually say Marky Mark here. But Marky Mark, man, he's got skills.
Hey, Dirk Diggler is a good little actor, man.
No, we just watched Boogie Nights for the very first time a few weeks ago, my fiance and I, and we loved it. I mean, it was so busy. It was a very strange movie, and I don't know if it could get made today.
No, I don't know. But Burt Reynolds was good in that too, and he was up for an Oscar for that.
I didn't know that. That's all. Yeah. No, but we just he crushes it. He's funny. He knows how to weave in and out of his roles, and Marky Mark's hilarious. But I gotta go Christian Bale because I can't be on the record saying Mark Wahlberg.
Okay, all right. Favorite musical band?
This is why I'm so weird, and this is why I like to say I'm so emotionally unstable. I grew up with the three most random genres of music. I was a punk rock kid growing up. I was a rap kid growing up, and honestly, I was a pop kid growing up. So like, I listened to Eminem, Good Charlotte. Oh man, now I'm drawing a blank. And the Spice Girls, and that was 7-year-old me growing up listening to all these different, all these different genres of music. And so I'll go, from a deep rap of the Eminem to, a verse of a Good Charlotte song to all of a sudden I'm singing, tell me what you want, what you really, really, and it's just very funny.
Wait a second. I want to do a world exclusive here. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to ask you to rap because Ben rapped. So
Ben's a great rapper.
Yeah, and I don't know rap. I don't know if he went back and told Max Kellerman what I said because Max was a rapper back in the day, if you want to call it that. But
I love Max, by the way. Max
is the man.
Max is a superstar. Yeah, he's a superstar, and he really knows the world. Yeah, he
knows the sports. He knows boxing. So you're gonna do a little bit of the Spice Girls doing that a little bit further?
I think I just gave the preview right there for you, and I think we could keep it as that and clip it there. But that was my rendition, and I just love all those genres right there.
Okay. Did you have a favorite Spice Girl?
Baby Spice.
Okay. Favorite concert you've ever been to?
So it was a Good Charlotte concert. It was a Good Charlotte concert. I was 8. They played right on Long Island, like in my town.
Okay.
At this building. It's called the Vanderbilt. It's not there anymore. There was a shooting there like a couple of years later, and they closed the whole thing down. But anyway, at the time, it was awesome because I was with Brett. I was with Ben. Actually, probably one of the reasons I got into the concert was because I was with them.
Okay.
And it was my first concert, and they rocked that shit. So it was a cool memory and a great experience.
Okay. Favorite, now this is solo, male singer.
Just one singer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does rap fall into this category of singer?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with Abel, The Weeknd. He is
Okay.
He can hit those notes, man. I don't know how he does it,
Okay.
but he can really hit those notes, and I think it's a fair sort of mix. He's not a rapper. He's not a singer. He sort of invented his own genre for
Okay.
himself, and he's an artist too, which is really cool. Like he really loves the game, and you could see that from the videos that he puts out and the music that he puts out. So The
I remember
Weeknd.
I first became exposed to him on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Performance. That's when I first heard of him. Okay, now flip that. Favorite female solo singer.
Wow. I mean, everyone's behind this Free Britney movement right now. So I don't think you could underestimate how she changed the game and how unfairly she was treated by the media, when mental health wasn't in the public landscape as much as it is now.
Okay.
And how really these tabloids look to destroy her. Now, look, I'm definitely not like, the biggest Britney fan out there, but at a certain point, you have to be able to understand, like, oh my God, this person's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're still here and still willing to, put in the hours is really amazing. So from that standpoint, you really respect what she's going through. But probably Lady Gaga. I mean, her voice is spectacular.
It is, and I love what she's done with Tony Bennett.
Oh my goodness,
just
yes,
amazing stuff.
she is so talented,
Mhm.
and that goes beyond music too. She's a lot. Yeah, I'm putting Lady Gaga in there as one of my favorite actresses too, because when she goes and she plays the characters that she does in these films, I mean, she's an artist.
Yeah.
It's sort of like The Weeknd. She goes beyond just music. She's an artist in every sense of the word.
Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause those part of the question because I forgot one that I had earlier I wanted to ask you, and I want to get you on record. If you had on a serious note, if you had to say something about Ben and about Brett that you'd want people to know outside of the podcast, outside of just as the younger, because you're the youngest, right, Jordy?
Yeah, I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest brother. We have a sister who's 15.
Okay. If you had to say something about Ben and Brett for the viewers, outside of all the kidding around and the podcast stuff, from the heart, what would you say about each one?
I just love them. I love them with every fiber of my soul. They're so special. You look at those two and you see how hard they work day in and day out to continue to keep MeidasTouch, going and continue to attack every day, like it might be our last. It's super, super motivating. And not only that, they're great teachers. As much as we like to joke around on the podcast and stuff like that, like if I ever have any serious issues or real questions, and I need to go to them for advice, look, they've lived through those experiences that I've already got, that I'm going through now, or, will go through. And so to be able to use them as sort of a lifeline is so amazing. I'm so fortunate to have them as my brothers, because every step of the way, they've been able to teach me, right from wrong, good from bad. And without them, sort of serving and helping my moral compass, I don't know where I would have landed, being involved in going back to our interviews earlier, all those, sort of different communities growing up and seeing some of that hatred take place. Like, would I have been a person to just say, okay, sure? Or, thanks to them, thanks to Brett and Ben, who've been able to teach me right from wrong every step of the way, I had that courage to stand up in those times and leave and excuse myself from those situations, even if it put me in an uncomfortable spot. Because at the end of the day, like, there's no, and I don't mean this to sound cheesy, but there's no better reward in life than just being a good person. Like if you could just be good and espouse good values, that attracts other good people. And that's what they've taught me. Being a good person in this world is so important. And just from a brotherly standpoint, I cannot thank them and love them enough for teaching me those values. From a MeidasTouch standpoint, they are the heart, soul, rock, foundation, engine, everything that goes into MeidasTouch, man. I say I put in, 14, 15-hour days. They're putting in 23-hour days. They're not sleeping. They're always on the phone trying to, figure out the next step or how we could expand our operation or, what's next on our list to do. And their dedication to the mission, it motivates me just as much as seeing the Midas Mighty, get involved day to day. So I love those guys. They're goofballs. I love them.
Beautiful answer. Okay. We'll get back to the other stuff. Are you, out of curiosity, a car person? Are you the male question? No, in the cars at all?
I wish I was, because I understand that. Like, I understand why it's so attracting to folks. But growing up, I played a lot of sports, so that was my main focus. Like, I played basketball, football, baseball, lacrosse. You name it. I pretty much played it at least one season or whatnot. And I got really, in the mindset of I want to master this craft. And so when I knew I wanted to dedicate, all my time to basketball, I'm like, going to play basketball after school every day from 3 p.m. to, the lights go out. And then I'll go home and do my homework and do all that. So cars, no, but that's just because, what I gravitated towards was more of, the sports that you see played out in high school.
Well, let me piggyback off of that because you mentioned basketball a couple of times. Did you go to Ohio, the Ohio State?
The Ohio State. No, unfortunately, I wasn't good enough. I broke my leg my senior year of high school.
Okay.
Got back to play in that season, and we had a fine season. I think we were in the first playoff game that we were in like 12 years or something like that. Amazing team, amazing coach. I learned a lot of my values in life. I like to say to people, I just need 5 minutes on the court with a person to understand who they are at a foundational level. What I mean by that is, hey, when you get on the court with this person, I don't care if they're good, but how are they interacting with their teammates?
Yeah.
How are they interacting with the refs? How are they interacting with the rules that are established on the court? And all of that, micro interactions, that adds up into someone's personality. And I like to say, like, if I'm ever going to interview someone to be a part of MeidasTouch and I have the opportunity to, I'll just shoot around with them for 5 minutes. And again, I don't care if you're good. I just want to see how you're interacting in a team environment with other people.
Gotcha.
So I didn't get to play at Ohio State, but what I did get to do was, because I was so into the game and played it, all the time there, and I was in a little bit more better shape then and running around a lot. They have tremendous facilities over there. And so I had a few good games, sort of playing in like just some park ball or, at the gym or whatnot. And I ended up, getting on a team, not on a team, but like in a basketball run with kids who were on the team. So I was team adjacent, but definitely not taking any credit. Was not close to making the team by any means.
Okay.
But I got to play in a lot of runs with the guys and got to go to the facilities, with the guys who were on the team. And honestly, it was an amazing experience.
Well, how tall are you, Jordy?
5'10".
5'10".
So that's 5'10" on a good day, I like to say. But my license is 5'11". So
okay. Okay. What position did you play?
Funny enough, I was like a hybrid big man at the time. We had guys on our high school team that were like 6'6", 6'5", or whatever. But my skill set, it didn't really transfer to the handles, which I developed a little bit later. When I hit college and started to play against a little bit better competition. But I was really good around the hoop because I was quick and I was a little bit smaller than your average person. I was also a little bit bulkier and stronger at the time too. And so I was like a poor man's power forward, and then I would jump out to the wing and shoot some threes. Okay.
Well, since we're talking basketball, I'll get back to the other ones in a minute. I got to put you on a spot. Who's the GOAT?
That's LeBron James, and here's why. And I see you looking at me, Brad. I see you looking at me, but here's why. And it's part of the argument that never gets discussed.
Okay.
Ever. Ready?
I'm listening.
When Michael Jordan left the Bulls for that one season, that Bulls team still won 50-something games, still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? So we're talking about one instance now where we have at least a measuring
right, yeah,
there.
Right, I got you.
So MJ's out. His team makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They win 54, 56 games or whatever. When LeBron leaves the Cavs, without the supporting cast of what MJ had with
Pippen,
with Rodman and Pippen and that whole squad, when LeBron leaves the Cavs, they go from a team that's in the championship to the worst team in the league that has the number 1 overall pick. Why? Because LeBron James wasn't there. Where was he? He was on Miami taking another team to the finals. So that's my biggest.
No, I'm not going to argue with you.
Point to.
I don't know basketball well enough. I mean, I always say Michael Jordan, but I don't know it well enough to. If you ask me, I'm going to say Michael Jordan. Boxing is my sport. Now, we talked offline. I know you do a boxing workout, but do you follow any boxers?
Man, back during the Floyd days when Floyd was really coming up after he already started initially had that spark and Pacquiao had that, I was really big into it. I've sort of distanced myself a little bit from it because, I don't get to hit the bag anymore too much. But I love the sport. It's such a great sport. My biggest beef with the sport, it's not accessible. Like it's very hard to watch, especially the top premier fighters. Anytime you're going to put something behind, a big paywall, and I don't know really the names of the fighters and I'm not into it like that. Like I'm not going to spend the, $150 to buy that pay-per-view. Although I'd love to. And I also think the sports and you know better than me, I think the sports really divided in how, like the NBA, for example, you have the NBA and then you have the teams and they're all playing a playoff and it's very, succinct and it makes sense. To me, there are way too many belts. There are way too many divisions. There are way too many this, that, and the third. And it's hard to keep track of one person. I love the sport. I'm so jealous that I didn't grow up really during the Tyson days, during the Holyfield days, because I feel like I've missed out in such a great aspect of sport in this country.
Yeah, and it's sad. You're absolutely right, and I agree with you. As well, I'm tired of seeing the what are their names? Logan or Paul?
Yeah, the Paul brothers. The Paul brothers.
I mean,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. And Floyd should. I mean, I know it was a money move, but to me, it bastardized the sport. It's too much, and everything's pay-per-view. Okay. Do you have a favorite noise or sound?
Wow. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. I don't know if I do. What do most people say in that situation? I've never been asked that question.
Yeah. Well, they say anything from, the sound of their children or
I got one for
water.
you.
It could be, anything.
I love thunderstorms. Big thunderstorms. Yeah. So anytime that there's a good thunderstorm, especially now that I'm living out here in Pennsylvania, it's a pleasurable sound for me.
Okay. Now flip that. Least favorite noise or sound?
Probably a car honking. It infuriates me because one, it scares me because it comes out of nowhere. Two, I think something bad's about to happen because this car is honking. So probably like a honk in a car. It's just really irritating.
Which is a New York thing. A lot of New Yorkers say that. They can't stand
it.
It.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear it all the time when you're out there.
Yeah. Well, it's usually that's one, and then another viewer, or I should say, interviewee favorite is Donald John Trump's voice. That's what they always say.
That was the layup right there. That's what I should have gone to. Yeah.
There you go.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite food?
Yeah, New York pizza. Again, I'm going to take us back there. There's a buffalo chicken slice from the town I grew up in that every time I visit, I get because it is the best, man.
Okay.
The best. And it's a feeling just of nostalgia now when I eat it. It's a feeling because it's really freaking good and I love it. But that buffalo chicken slice from this one establishment from my hometown, the best.
Okay. If you hit the lottery tomorrow for say $200, $300, $400 million, what would be the first thing you do?
Oh man. Yeah, probably just throw it all into Midas Media Network where we're trying to expand out. Our mission isn't done. And if I were to win the lottery, I'd be incredibly fortunate to do so, obviously. But that wouldn't put the mission in the back burner by any means. We're all super hyper focused on what we want to do and what we need to, frankly, accomplish as brothers. That anything that I could do to help contribute to the movement is where any of my time and resources is going to go to.
Okay.
Maybe an unpopular opinion from my fiance who would want us to buy a house or something, but I mean it. I really do mean it. Most people say they want to work anymore. I couldn't imagine doing that. I would be.
So,
lost.
I mean, that's a form of philanthropy. I mean, you're trying to move, do things to better, better society. So there's nothing about that. Pre-COVID, because we're not there yet, do you have a favorite vacation destination?
Oh, man. My family and I used to take trips to Mexico for the holidays.
Any particular part?
Where was it? Honestly, I'm drawing a blank because we went there when we were much younger, but we would be there, during the winter breaks. And I couldn't go as frequently growing up because the winter season, not to take it back here, but the winter season was a basketball season. So I was, I couldn't go on vacations because we had practice and tournaments during that time. But yeah, we would go, totally drawing a blank right now. But we would go there, and just thinking back to it, it was really special, place to go.
So what does a day in your life look like outside of doing the MeidasTouch podcast and all that stuff that you're doing? What does your day look like outside of work?
I love that question. I'm a student of the game, and I don't shy away from that. I'm a political outsider, like a lot of our followers are political outsiders. So I have a lot of catching up to do. And what I mean by that is I wake up at 7 or 6:30, depending on when the dog wakes me up. I let him out. I turn on the news. I scroll through Twitter, see what, the main things that people are sort of talking about, or issues that are hot priorities for them. Go on CNN, go on MSNBC.com, go to my news networks and sources and read, what's going on, and try and really engulf myself in as much knowledge and arm myself with as much knowledge as possible, because if people are going to come to me for, my opinion on these things, knowing, sort of where I stand in the political landscape, I want to be able to speak on these things in an educated manner. And so then from, after I let out the pup, I read ferociously for about 2.5 hours, just different articles, have a cup of coffee, try and, do a quick bike, have one of those bikes downstairs, which is a lot of fun. Now it's going to take us to about 11:30. And that's when the brothers start waking up as well, around that time, because they're on the West Coast.
Yeah, right.
So then we all check in. We're like, hey, what's the mission for today? What are the, the X things that we need to get done and make sure we move the needle on? All right, these are the things. Let's go. Let's rock. We sort of divide and conquer from there. And each day is different. Each day it might be a day, taking calls with potential new sponsors for the podcast to help us, keep going and growing. It might be some interviews for people who, want to join our Midas University program, which is a program that helps amplify, sort of the next generation of college youth voices and pro-democracy voices. Might be interviews, just, for people that want to work in the media network of this all. And then we might be on calls, really talking about, hey, this is what we need to get accomplished. These are the billboards that we need to get up. Here's the creative that we're working on. Here's the next commercial. It's really identifying those things as early as possible in the morning. So by the time you get to 4:35 p.m., you don't feel as behind. Now, you're never going to hit all those things, but at least you're moving the needle on certain things. And when things take more priority, obviously those get bumped to the top. But it's funny because a lot of folks think, I'm sure you get this a lot too with all the work that you put in. A lot of folks think that I just live on Twitter all day.
Right.
And it's not the truth. And I wish it was, because I love interacting with the Twitter community. But at the end of the day, there are real world things that I know you're interacting with, that I'm interacting with, that we're trying to do to move the needle. And I just want to make sure that I'm using my time really as consciously as possible in order to make sure that MeidasTouch continues to grow and the movement continues to grow.
Okay. If you could meet one person from any time in history, dead or alive, any walk of life, who would you like to meet? And what would either be your first question, or what would you like to talk about? Oh
man, I'm going to get a lot of grief for this, because I'm not, just so the audience is aware, I'm not going to go sentimental here. No. Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler shaped my childhood, man. I watched every Adam Sandler movie growing up, and honestly,
even Little Nicky,
all of them, Brad. Little Nicky 100 times as a kid. Waterboy 300 times, 300 times. And it's funny because my fiance said that she was attracted to me when she saw me at the bar the first time, because I used to rock my Timbs in Ohio, and Timbs are a very New York thing, if you know New York a bit. And so I brought the Timbs to Ohio, and sort of dressed a little bit dressed down, I guess, that how Adam Sandler sort of styles himself. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, I thought you looked like Adam Sandler. So he was an integral part of my adolescence. And then when I met my fiance, she thought I looked like him and resembled him. So,
well, he may be a dream guest. Maybe get him on the show.
Oh man, I would love to have him on the show. I would be starstruck.
Okay. With everything we discussed so far, if you had to sum yourself up in a few thoughts as a human being, what would you say, Jordy?
I'm a decent human being who's always trying to do better. I know that there's good in the world, and it might sound cheesy, but in a world that constantly wants to make you feel like everything is going to shit and doom and gloom, there has to be some optimism with how you approach life. Because all of a sudden, every day you're waking up and you're upset about this, upset about that, it's going to really weigh on you, right? You have to find the silver linings. You have to find the wins. You have to be proud of those moments. So for me, it's all about finding those moments and trying to understand, like, hey, I feel accomplished today because I was able, to push this, forward. I feel accomplished today because we got someone for our university program who now I get to amplify their voices using our channels and things like that. So honestly, I just want to be a better person and a better version of myself every day. And it's with the guidance of my brothers and, thankfully the guidance of the Midas Mighty that I'm able to do that and keep my moral compass pointing north and continuing to, try and be a better person.
Okay. And finally, do you have a saying you live your life by? And if so, what is it?
Saying, it's actually on the back of my phone, says run toward the problem.
Nice.
And what that is all about, you interpret it however you want. I think it's pretty self-explanatory there, but throughout your days, throughout your work life, things will pop up they're like really want to put off because it's just going to fuck with, your day. It's going to put you in a bad mood. But the problem is if you end up delaying those things, that problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then if you don't, solve it, it's going to be tremendously worse for you than it would have been initially. So just attack it, take life every day, find where you need to really, dig in deep and solve some issues or solve some problems, whether that be in your work life or your home life, and really run towards it, because the more you put things off, I've learned, the worse it gets.
Okay. Now, before we close out, give all of your Twitter, all your social media platforms. Go ahead for the viewers.
I love that. So we'll start with the MeidasTouch platform. Yeah. So MeidasTouch can be found at MeidasTouch. That's MeidasTouch on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, TikTok, whatever platform you're on, we show up on. And we made that decision actually really consciously because we noticed that a lot of these political organizations, for example, weren't on TikTok when we had started. We're like, why? This platform's massive and it's speaking to a completely different sect of society than your Facebook might be speaking to, or your Instagram might be speaking to, or your YouTube. So we're there everywhere at MeidasTouch. That's MeidasTouch. Check us out. My individual handles, you could find me on Twitter at J_MEI21. That's at J_MEI21 on Twitter, or on Instagram at MeidasJordy. That's MeidasJordy. And come along, come. Just take a follow. If you're listening to us and you don't know MeidasTouch, you don't know about the Midas Mighty, you don't know about our pro-democracy mission, just give us one chance. That's all I'm asking. Just give us one chance. Check out one of our videos that we've made. Check out, some things that we've done in the community. And at the end of the day, look, if you still don't fuck with us, that's fine. But we're going to continue, to work hard every single day and do the work and just be the change that we frankly want to see in the world.
Okay. I'm going to give you a few closing thoughts. Dan, I'm going to give you back the mic to close out. So my big thing is moving humanity forward. And the three of you, Ben, Brett, and you, do that with your show. People don't have to agree with every thought that you guys put out. And I tell them the same thing with my show. I don't want you to agree with everything I have to say. Then you're like a robot.
Yeah.
Have your own thoughts. But the one thing collectively that I would like to see you do, and you guys do it daily, or you do it as much as you put out your content, is you're moving humanity forward. Not an easy thing to do, because humanity right now is in fucking trouble. I get hit up a lot with, you need to work with the other side. I'm not willing to work with the other side because they're fucking crazy. I'd spend too much time wasting my time trying to get them to come to our side. That's not me.
One of the things that we say all the time too, I don't want to talk to that 32% who
right. I can't. There's nothing I could say.
These QAnon crazies. No. That's not my job. My job is to talk to the other 70%. Who will then win us that election. Fuck those 32%. They're lunatics.
They're lunatics, and I have nothing for them. They don't want to get vaccinated. Fuck you. Then if I had my way, you couldn't go to the hospital and take a hospital bed. And because, we can't be like that. It'll be like Russia. I don't give a fuck. If you don't get vaccinated, because 20, 30 years ago, you would have got vaccinated. But you guys are moving humanity forward. I watch a lot of your stuff. I don't look at people's ages. I don't look at people's backgrounds. I don't look at their sexuality. I don't look at any of that stuff. I look at what you are as a person moving humanity forward. And I commend all three of you, because you really, really do. We got to get Brett on the show next.
Yeah.
You do. And that's why I wanted to bring you on alone, because I wanted people to see just you, because they see you with your brothers, which is fine. That's a great dynamic. But I wanted them to see you. Now, the other thing, before I give you back the mic, I do believe in sibling rivalry. So I'm going to hold up something for your viewers.
Oh, no.
Did you see what this says?
It says 375 views.
Okay, so that is the number of views that your brother Ben's show has. I don't know if Ben pushed it out enough, because I know Ben is good when he really wants to push something out. So Jordy has to beat Ben's views, which I think he's going to quadruple it, with especially after you did the Adam and Eve spot with the back. So those are the views for your viewers of your show. I'm going to show you one more time.
375. That's what we got to beat. That's what we got to beat.
That's not a batting average. That's nobody's batting average. That's his views. Now Ben's going to come back and say, "Oh, fuck that! I'm gonna show you, Brad." Exactly. So
It's game set match, Brad. We're gonna not only double those, we're gonna triple those, we're gonna quadruple those. Don't even think for a minute that I'm not gonna rub that in Ben's face every second of the day, every chance that I get.
I looked in the analytics, because sometimes the numbers aren't right on the thing. I looked in the program. That's what it is. 375.
Done deal.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to give you back the mic and whatever closing thoughts you have.
Brett, I just want to thank you, man. All the work that you've done, one, serving this country, and two, the day in and day out that you put doing your podcast, doing your show, that moves the needle forward too. And I don't know if people are say this to you on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure they do. I'm sure there are kind of people who come out and say that, but thank you. Seriously, thank you. Because what this world needs more bad Brads. This world needs more of you in the world, trying to shine a light on real issues and talk to people like they're fucking people.
Right.
There's so many talking heads on the news, so many talking heads that do these shows that act like they're so holier than thou. And it makes it so just unappealing and unattracting to the average American. And so thank you. I want to use this last moment to make sure that I show you how grateful I am for everything that you do every day. So thank you, Brad. Seriously.
I appreciate that. You're very welcome. And it's nice to hook up with like-minded people. I'm going to go back to your talking point about COVID. Out of such a negative came a positive, because that's how I hooked up with your brother to do, when I started doing these things. And thanks to Mary L. Trump to say, do Zoom, because again, it opened up, and you guys, it opened up the world. I mean, I've interviewed guys in Scotland and England and Canada. I mean, this is the only format I want to do, at this point, unless they gave me a network show. But it would have to be, it wouldn't be on regular TV, because I curse too fucking much. And I'm not going to stop cursing.
It'll be on the Midas Media Network. How about that?
There you go, brother. But,
there we go.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. And I always tell my guests, you have direct access to me anytime. If you have something you need to put out, we did the 360, so it could be shorter segments after that. But let me know. You always have access to me. And I'm the type of person, when I say that, I don't forget who you are. I'm like, who are you? Or, you have direct access to me. And especially because what you guys are doing, I'm going to say it again for my viewers and yours, you guys are moving humanity forward. And that is, for my Jewish viewers, that's a mitzvah, okay? For the Nebushes and Yiddish on the other side that are crap, right there. We're moving humanity forward. So
thank you.
Again, thanks for coming on today. I really, really appreciate it.
It was amazing being on. Thank you again.
Hey, folks, that's another episode of the Bad Brad Berkwitt Show in the can with my man, Jordy Meiselas, 1/3 of the MeidasTouch podcast, but so much more, as you saw. And I knew from talking to him that when we did the 360 interview, which is how I always do it when it's my first time having a guest on, because he's coming back, trust me, I like to show all sides of a person. So you saw compassion, smarts, kindness. And I'm going to address kindness, because you see me tweet out all the time that kindness is strength. And I'm going to go there because I have to emphasize what I'm about to say. Those motherfucking crazies, evil, racists, and all of the above that support Trump, including him, that will tell you that kindness is weakness, kindness is strength. They are weak. And anybody, no matter which side they're on, that tells you kindness is weakness, they are weak. You just saw someone that poured his heart and soul out. His first interview, he told me that he did solo without his brothers. So that's a great feeling to have somebody on there that is so beloved amongst his viewers and supporters. So in a way, you just got an exclusive on my show. And he'll be back. I'm going to bring him back on, be shorter segments because we did a 360. So again, I'm going to ask you, subscribe to my channel, which I greatly appreciate. Hit that button, whatever corner it's in. Leave your comments below. I always personally respond. As well, follow me on Twitter at BadBradRSR. Again, it's at BadBradRSR. And check out my great writing team on ringsidereport.com. All right, folks, remember, every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Bad Brad.
Hey, folks,
out.
It's the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it, Bad Brad Berkwitt. And I want to talk to you about advertising on the Bad Brad Berkwitt show. If you would like to advertise, contact me at ringsidereport2014@gmail.com. Again, that's ringsidereport2014@gmail.com. Or call the Ringside Report office at 703-517-2155. And remember, folks, every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Bad Brad. Hey, folks, the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing. Forget about it, Bad Brad Berkwitt. I want to talk to you about my book, Boxing Interviews of a Lifetime by me. Forget about it. There it is. If you would like to pick up a copy of it, go to authorhouse.com. Again, that's authorhouse.com. If you would like to get it personally autographed with the message that you want in it, or you want me to put something in it, I can take care of that too. You just got to pay postage and handling to Indiana, and we can talk about that in the future. All right, again, Boxing Interviews of a Lifetime is the book. Pick it up. Bad Brad.